ようこそ領域挽回。
Hey, anime fans. What if the world suddenly collapsed into chaos, governments failed, economies crashed, wars started everywhere, and humanity had one final option: choose a single anime character to rule the entire world? Sounds insane, right? But think about it, some anime characters have overwhelming power. Some have unmatched intelligence. Some can inspire loyalty. And some can control people without them even realizing it. Today, we are breaking down which anime character would actually rule the world the best. Not just who's strongest, but who could truly create order, maintain peace, and stay in control of humanity itself. From masterminds, to kings, to monsters. And by the end of this video, one character stands above everyone else. A ruler so dangerous, so intelligent, and so emotionally untouchable, that the world might willingly surrender to him. First, we have Lelouch from Code Geass. Honestly, Lelouch is one of the easiest choices people would make. He's charismatic, a genius strategist, and he literally managed to overthrow empires. With the power of Geass, he could force world leaders to obey him instantly. But there's one major problem. Lelouch rules through conflict. Even when his intentions are good, chaos always follows him. His leadership depends on rebellion, manipulation, and sacrifice. Yes, he could unite the world, but the peace would constantly sit on the edge of collapse. Lelouch is the kind of ruler who changes history. Not necessarily the kind who maintains stability forever. Then we have Light Yagami from Death Note. If ruling through fear worked perfectly, Light might actually win this debate. Crime rates would drop almost instantly. Corrupt politicians? Gone. Terrorists? Gone. Anyone opposing him? Also gone. The world under Light would become extremely orderly. But there's a terrifying issue. Light doesn't see people equally. Over time, he stops protecting humanity, and starts believing he is justice itself. That's the danger. A ruler who thinks they're a god eventually stops caring about freedom, morality, or human life. The world under Light would become peaceful, but completely controlled by fear. And eventually, humanity would become prisoners under a smiling dictator. Now let's talk about Sosuke Aizen from Bleach. Aizen might actually be the most intelligent manipulator on this list. This man manipulated entire organizations for years without anyone realizing it. With his intelligence and psychological control, Aizen could quietly dominate the entire planet before people even understood what happened. And honestly, that's terrifying. Because unlike Light or Lelouch, Aizen doesn't even need public control. He controls perception itself. The problem is, Aizen doesn't care about humanity. He sees most people as beneath him. And a ruler without empathy eventually rules only for themselves. The world might become efficient under Aizen, but humanity would slowly lose its individuality entirely. Now here's a very different answer: Naruto Uzumaki from Naruto. Naruto is probably the most emotionally inspiring leader here. He understands pain, war, loneliness, hatred. And instead of ruling through fear, he unites people through hope. That's incredibly powerful. A world ruled by Naruto would probably be happier than almost anyone else on this list. But there's still a weakness. Naruto trusts people too much. And real-world politics are ruthless. Corrupt governments, secret agendas, manipulation, economic warfare. Naruto's kindness could become a vulnerability. He'd create peace. But maintaining absolute global order would become extremely difficult. And finally, Kiyotaka Ayanokoji from Classroom of the Elite. This is where things get scary. Because unlike the others, Ayanokoji doesn't need overwhelming power. He doesn't need supernatural abilities. He doesn't need fear. All he needs is understanding people better than they understand themselves. Ayanokoji is cold, calculating, patient, and nearly impossible to emotionally manipulate. He doesn't seek attention. He doesn't crave worship. He doesn't act out of ego. That alone already makes him more dangerous than most anime masterminds. Because the biggest weakness of rulers is usually pride. And Ayanokoji barely has any visible ego at all. He studies human psychology constantly. He knows how to manipulate allies, enemies, leaders, and entire groups without exposing himself. But here's the most important part: he always thinks long-term. Not emotionally. Not impulsively. Strategically. Ayanokoji wouldn't rule the world like a king. He'd rule it like an invisible system. Wars would be prevented before they even begin. Opposition would collapse before becoming dangerous. Powerful people would unknowingly work exactly the way he wants. And most terrifying of all, the majority of humanity might never even realize they're being controlled. That's why Ayanokoji wins. Not because he's the strongest, but because he's the ruler most capable of creating stable, long-term global control without destroying society in the process. He wouldn't rule through fear. He'd rule through absolute understanding of human nature. So, who do you think would rule the world best? Would you choose a revolutionary like Lelouch? A god of justice like Light? A manipulator like Aizen? A hero like Naruto? Or do you agree that Kiyotaka Ayanokoji would quietly become the most dangerous ruler of them all? Comment your choice below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more anime debates, what-if scenarios, and psychological anime content.